Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into something, well, I bet you think about a lot. It's building wealth and all the skills that can kind of help you get there.
Right.
We've got a really interesting mix of sources to unpack here. We've got lx.com videos on everything, must-have skills, what to do with sudden wealth, even different types of rich people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we'll switch gears. We'll look at Polymatter's take on the current labor market.
Okay.
Buckle up, it gets a little intense.
Right.
And to wrap things up, we'll hear from some young entrepreneurs. This is in a School Stories interview, and they've been picking the brains of, wait for it, billionaires.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so get ready to rethink some of your assumptions about education and success.
I'm ready.
Awesome.
I think what's fascinating here is how all these sources, they have different styles,
Right.
but they ultimately point to the same core idea, building wealth. It's about more than just money.
Yeah.
It's about personal growth, adaptability, and understanding the forces at play in today's world.
Right. Okay, so lx.com jumps right in. Video on skills that pay off forever.
Hmm.
And their top pick, learning how to learn. Seems obvious, but I feel like most people don't actually do this well.
It's true. In a world where the only constant is change,
Right.
the ability to constantly adapt and acquire new skills is invaluable.
Yep.
Think about it. Technology is evolving at an unprecedented pace. Industries are being disrupted.
Right.
And the jobs of tomorrow might not even exist today.
Yeah.
Learning how to learn, rather than just focusing on specific knowledge, that equips you to navigate these shifts
Right.
and remain relevant no matter what the future holds.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Alex.com also talks about adaptability, and they even quote Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
That quote is so perfect.
Right.
Life is full of unexpected twists and turns.
Right.
Whether it's a sudden job loss, a global pandemic,
Right.
or just, a personal setback.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to roll with the punches and adapt to changing circumstances is crucial for success, both in your career and just in life in general.
Yeah, I love how they emphasize that this isn't just about bouncing back.
Right.
It's about using those challenges to actually learn and grow. It's almost like the bigger the setback,
Yeah,
the bigger the potential for growth if you have that adaptability mindset.
absolutely. And speaking of navigating the unexpected,
Yeah.
Alex.com also highlights the importance of something we often take for granted, clear communication.
Yeah, I was surprised by how strongly they emphasize this.
Mm-hmm.
They make the point that being able to articulate your thoughts and feelings clearly, it's critical not just in romantic relationships, but in all relationships,
Yeah.
work, family, friendships.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just about expressing yourself clearly,
Right.
but also about being able to listen effectively
Yes.
to what others are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Alex.com talks about the importance of knowing how to shut up, listen, and learn,
Yeah.
being open to different perspectives and absorbing information from those around you.
That's a good one. It reminds me of something I struggle with. Sometimes I get so caught up in my own head, overthinking everything,
Yeah.
that I forget to actually listen to what other people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
LX.com calls this being trapped in your head, and they contrast it with like being completely disconnected from your inner world.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of self-awareness, which is something Alex.com touches on as well. They talk about finding that balance between being overly analytical and completely reactive, being in tune with your thoughts and emotions
Right.
without letting them completely control you.
Okay, so we've got learning agility, adaptability, clear communication, self-awareness. It's like building a foundation for success
Yes.
before we even get to the money part.
Exactly. And that foundation is crucial because it allows you to make sound decisions, build strong relationships,
Right.
and navigate the challenges that inevitably come with building wealth.
Okay, so speaking of money, Alux.com makes this bold statement. Everything in life is a negotiation or a sales process.
Right.
Even finding a romantic partner.
It might sound a bit cynical at first,
Yeah.
but if you think about it, there's a lot of truth to that.
Okay.
It's not about being manipulative or dishonest.
Right.
It's about understanding what the other person values, presenting yourself effectively,
Yeah.
and finding that win-win situation.
So whether you're pitching a business idea, negotiating a salary,
Mhm.
or, yes, even asking someone out on a date,
Right.
it's all about persuasive communication.
Yes.
Which requires that self-awareness we were just talking about.
It all comes back to that foundation. And another crucial element of that foundation, according to Alex.com, is self-motivation.
Okay.
They stress the importance of finding a compelling reason to start as the key to building momentum.
I think that's what separates those who dream about success from those who actually achieve it.
Right.
It's not enough to just have a goal.
Right.
You need a powerful why that drives you to take action even when things get tough.
And that why is closely tied to your personal values, your passions,
Yeah.
what you find truly meaningful in life.
Oh, sure.
It's about connecting your financial goals to a deeper purpose.
Okay, so we've got skills, mindset, purpose. But what about the realities of the world we're living in?
Right.
Enter Polymatter with a dose of reality about the current job market.
This is where things get interesting and maybe a little unsettling.
Okay.
Polymatter's video on the broken labor market highlights a significant disconnect
Okay.
between education and the actual needs of the workforce. They drop this mind-blowing stat. The University of Central Florida has more students than all the journalists in the entire U.S.
Wait, seriously, that's wild, but it kind of illustrates their point, right? The push for college for all has created this surplus of graduates,
Exactly.
but there's a huge shortage of skilled tradespeople, plumbers, electricians, mechanics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those are jobs that are not only in high demand, but are also often well paid and offer a lot of job security. Polymatter argues that we've somehow created this stigma
Right.
around blue-collar work,
Yeah.
making people believe that a 4-year degree is the only path to a good life.
Okay, that's got me thinking. How did we get here? I mean, college for all sounded like a good idea, right?
Well, it was a combination of factors, according to Polymatter. There were Cold War anxieties about national security,
Right.
well-meaning parents wanting the best for their kids,
Oh, sure.
and maybe even some clever marketing by universities themselves. But the result is we've ended up devaluing certain types of work
Right.
and creating a system that doesn't always serve students well.
So is college a gamble then? Like, are we all just throwing money at tuition and hoping for the best?
Polymatter dives into the college wage premium, that idea that college grads earn significantly more over their lifetimes.
Right.
But they emphasize that it's an average, and averages can be deceiving.
Right, and they point out that this average doesn't account for two huge factors, the chance of dropping out and the cost of tuition.
Right.
For many students, college becomes a risky bet, not a guaranteed return on investment.
They use this analogy of flipping a coin.
Okay.
Heads, you graduate, land a great job,
Mm-hmm.
and reap the financial rewards. Tails, you drop out, struggle with debt,
Yeah.
and end up in a job that didn't require a degree in the first place.
Okay, so that's a pretty sobering perspective on the whole college debate.
Yeah.
But before we get too doom and gloom,
Okay.
let's hear what those young entrepreneurs from School Stories have to say. They've been interviewing billionaires,
Wow.
and their insights offer a very different take on success.
What I find so interesting about this interview is the contrast.
Okay.
We're often told to diversify income streams early on, build multiple side hustles, and spread ourselves thin.
Right.
But these billionaires emphasize the importance of mastering one thing first, becoming the absolute best at it before branching out.
Yeah, it's almost counterintuitive, right? Like, don't try to do everything at once. Focus your energy on building a strong foundation in one area.
Exactly. It's about specialization and building true expertise.
Right.
And it aligns with what Ulix.com said about self-motivation. When you're truly passionate about something, that focus and drive come naturally.
And the School Stories interview also touches on the importance of mentorship,
Right.
which echoes what Alex.com said about who you know. One of the billionaires even says the shortcut to your dreams is mentorship.
It's clear that surrounding yourself with the right people, mentors, partners, a supportive network can make a huge difference in your journey.
Okay, so we've got skills, mindset, mentorship. Now let's shift gears completely and talk about sudden wealth.
Ooh, right.
Allits.com has a whole video on what to do if you suddenly find yourself with a windfall of cash. And their first piece of advice might surprise you.
Oh, hey.
Tell no one.
Really? Why is that? I'd be tempted to shout it from the rooftops.
Well, Alex.com emphasizes the importance of protecting yourself,
Okay.
both financially and emotionally. Suddenly becoming the rich friend or relative can attract all sorts of unwanted attention, not to mention requests for loans and handouts.
Yeah, I can see how that could get overwhelming really fast.
So pay off debt,
Mm-hmm.
but don't quit your job immediately
Right.
or go on a spending spree. Right.
Exactly. Alux.com recommends letting the money sit for 6 months
Oh, wow.
before making any major decisions.
Okay.
Sudden wealth can be an emotional roller coaster, and it's important to have a clear head and a solid plan
For sure.
for managing that influx of cash.
Which is where financial literacy comes in.
Yeah.
You got to know what to do with that money once you're ready to use it.
Absolutely. Alex.com stresses the importance of educating yourself about investing, asset allocation,
Right.
all those financial fundamentals.
Okay, so we've covered essential skills, the realities of the labor market, and even navigated the choppy waters of sudden wealth.
Yeah.
But Alex.com goes a step further and breaks down different types of rich people,
Okay.
which I found really fascinating.
It's a great way to debunk some of those stereotypes we have about wealth.
Right.
Alex.com talks about the just got rich folks who might struggle to handle their newfound fortune. The real estate rich who focus on disciplined, long-term investments, and the can't tell rich who prioritize quality over flashy displays of wealth.
I'm intrigued by that can't tell rich category.
Yeah.
It seems like they've figured out something important.
Right.
That true wealth isn't necessarily about extravagance,
Mm-hmm.
but about living a life that aligns with your values.
Exactly. And then there's one last category that Alex.com mentions, the soon-to-be rich.
Ooh, interesting.
What sets these folks apart? What steps are they taking that others might be missing?
Okay, that's a great question, and I think it ties into everything we've been discussing so far.
Absolutely.
Oh,
From cultivating those essential skills
right.
to being savvy about the changing labor market, and perhaps most importantly,
Yeah.
having the right mindset and the discipline to turn financial goals into reality.
Mm-hmm.
It's about actively shaping your own future,
Right.
rather than waiting for luck or inheritance to fall into your lap.
Okay, let's pause here for a moment and come back to unpack this idea of the soon-to-be rich.
Right.
What can we learn from these individuals, and how can we apply their strategies to our own lives?
Welcome back. It's been quite the journey exploring these diverse sources, hasn't it?
My brain is definitely full, but in a good way. Like, we've covered so much ground from, personal growth to economic realities to those mind-blowing insights from billionaires.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm already starting to see the world differently.
That's fantastic to hear. And
Yeah.
if we connect all of this to like the bigger picture, I think there's some really powerful takeaways here for anyone looking to build wealth.
Yeah.
Regardless of where they're starting from.
Okay, let's talk takeaways.
Okay.
What's standing out to you as the most important insights from all this?
Well, one thing that keeps coming up,
Yeah.
both in the Alex.com videos and in the polymatter analysis, is the importance of lifelong learning and adaptability.
Right.
The skills that are in demand today
Yeah.
might be obsolete tomorrow.
Right.
So it's not just about what you know.
Right.
It's about your ability to constantly adapt and acquire new skills.
Yeah. Alex.com was really hitting hard on learning how to learn as like the ultimate skill.
Right.
It's almost like a superpower in today's world.
Yep.
But how do you actually do that? Like, is that a skill you can learn, or are some people just naturally better at it?
That's a great question. And I think it's a combination of both natural aptitude and deliberate practice.
Okay.
Some people might be more naturally curious
Right.
or have a stronger drive to learn new things.
Okay.
But even if you don't consider yourself a natural learner,
Yeah.
there are definitely strategies and techniques you can develop to become more effective at learning. Things like active recall,
Right.
spaced repetition, and finding ways to connect new information to what you already know.
Okay, so it's not just about cramming information into your head. It's about understanding how your brain works and finding ways to, like, optimize the learning process.
Yeah.
Which I guess is another form of learning how to learn. It's like a meta skill.
Exactly. And I think this ties into the importance of self-awareness,
Right.
which is another key takeaway that emerged from both the Alex.com videos and our discussion about communication.
Right.
Being able to understand your own strengths and weaknesses, your learning style, and how you respond to challenges, that's crucial for making sound decisions
Right.
and navigating the complexities of wealth building.
So it's not just about knowing how to do things. It's also about knowing how you think and how you feel. It's like understanding the software that's running your brain.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And I think it's particularly relevant.
Yeah.
When it comes to financial decision-making, a lot of financial mistakes come from emotional reactions, fear, greed, impatience.
For sure.
Developing that self-awareness helps you make more rational,
Right.
informed choices.
Right. Okay, so self-awareness is like the operating system for all the other skills
Yes.
and strategies we've been talking about.
Precisely. And speaking of skills,
Okay.
We can't ignore the elephant in the room,
Mm,
the whole college debate.
right.
Polymatter really made us think about the current state of the labor market
For sure.
and whether the college for all mantra is still relevant.
Right. It was eye-opening to see how many college grads
Yeah,
are underemployed or working in jobs that don't even require a degree.
right.
And then to hear those school stories entrepreneurs talk about mastering one skill before branching out,
Yeah.
it's like they're challenging the whole traditional education system.
It's definitely a complex issue. On the one hand, access to higher education is incredibly important.
Right.
And for certain professions, a college degree is still the essential entry ticket.
Mm-hmm.
But Polymatter raises valid concerns
Yeah.
about the rising cost of tuition, the potential for debt,
Right.
and the mismatch between what's being taught in college and the actual needs of the workforce.
So what's the answer? Is college good or bad? Should we all be ditching our degrees and heading to trade school?
I don't think it's that simple. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that different paths lead to different destinations.
Right.
And there's value in all types of skilled work,
Right.
whether it's acquired through a traditional college education,
Mm-hmm.
a vocational program, an apprenticeship, or even self-directed learning.
Okay, so it's not about college or a trade school.
Right.
It's about finding the path that aligns with your individual interests, talents, and goals.
Exactly.
And maybe even challenging the stigmas we've attached to certain types of work.
Exactly. We need to rediscover the value of craftsmanship,
Yeah.
of skilled trades, of
Yeah.
all the different ways
Yeah.
people can contribute to society.
Something that really struck me from both Alox.com and the School Stories interview was the importance of mentorship
Yes.
and surrounding yourself with the right people. They both emphasize the power of who you know
Right.
and how the right connections can accelerate your journey.
And I think this goes beyond just networking or trying to climb the social ladder.
Yeah.
It's about finding people who inspire you,
Mm-hmm.
who challenge you,
Yeah.
who support your growth,
Right.
and provide valuable guidance, mentors, business partners, a supportive network.
Yeah.
They can make all the difference
For sure.
in helping you navigate the inevitable challenges that come with building any career or business.
It makes you wonder how much of success is actually about talent or hard work
Right.
versus just being in the right place at the right time
Right.
with the right connections.
I think it's a combination of all of those things.
Yeah.
You need the skills,
Right.
the drive, and the willingness to put in the effort.
Mm-hmm.
But having the right support system can definitely amplify your efforts
Yeah.
and open doors that might have otherwise remained closed.
Okay, so we've got skills, mindset, mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
and now this idea of navigating the complexities of the labor market. It's starting to feel like building wealth is less about following a specific formula
Yeah.
and more about developing a certain way of thinking,
Mhm.
a way of approaching the world.
I think you're absolutely right. It's about cultivating a growth mindset,
Right.
being adaptable, being resourceful,
Yeah,
and being open to learning from both your successes and your failures.
for sure.
And it's about recognizing that the journey itself
Right.
is just as important as the destination.
Okay, before we wrap up this section,
Yeah.
let's go back to that intriguing soon-to-be-rich category from alux.com.
Okay.
What can we learn from these individuals, and how can we apply their strategies to our own lives?
I think the key takeaway from the soon-to-be-rich is that they understand wealth building as a holistic endeavor.
Okay.
It's not just about making money.
Right.
It's about personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
And it's about aligning your financial goals
Right.
with your values and passion.
Yeah. So it's not just about the numbers in your bank account. It's
Right.
about the richness of your life as a whole.
Exactly. And I think one of the most important lessons we can learn from the soon-to-be-rich
Okay.
is the power of intentionality.
Okay.
These are individuals who have a clear vision for their future and are actively taking steps
Right.
to create that future,
Okay.
rather than simply reacting to circumstances or waiting for opportunities to fall into their lap.
So it's about being proactive, about making conscious choices that move you closer to your goals.
Precisely. And that proactive approach applies to all aspects of wealth building,
Yeah.
from developing your skills and investing your money
Right.
to building your network
Mm-hmm.
and managing your time effectively.
Okay, so we've got intentionality, we've got a holistic perspective.
Right.
What else can we glean from these soon-to-be-rich folks?
Yeah.
What are they doing that we might be missing?
Well, another key characteristic of the soon-to-be-rich is their willingness to delay gratification. They understand that building wealth takes time
Mm-hmm.
and discipline,
Right.
and they're willing to make sacrifices in the short term to achieve their long-term goals.
So it's about resisting those impulsive spending urges and focusing on the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's about making conscious choices about how you spend your money
Right.
and your time,
Mm-hmm.
always keeping your long-term goals in mind.
Okay, so we've got intentionality, a holistic perspective, delayed gratification.
Mm.
It's starting to sound like building wealth is less about luck
Yeah.
and more about developing a certain mindset, a certain set of habits and practices.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a really empowering message.
Yay.
It means that wealth isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you can actively create
Yeah.
through your choices and your actions.
Okay, before we move on to our final source, I'm curious to get your take on this. We've been talking a lot about the importance of skills, mindset, mentorship, but how much does privilege play into all of this? I mean, not everyone has access to the same resources, opportunities, or even the same level of financial literacy.
That's an incredibly important point, and it's something we need to acknowledge.
Right.
Systemic factors like socioeconomic background, race, and even geography
Yeah,
can create significant barriers to wealth building.
for sure.
Access to quality education, affordable housing, and even basic financial services can
Yeah.
vary widely depending on where you live and what opportunities were available to you growing up.
So it's not just about individual effort.
Right.
It's also about recognizing the systemic factors that can either hinder or facilitate wealth building.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's important to be mindful of those factors when we talk about personal responsibility and the steps individuals can take to improve their financial well-being.
Right.
We need to create a more equitable playing field
Right.
where everyone has the opportunity to succeed,
For sure.
regardless of their background or circumstances.
Oh, okay. That's a really important point to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears completely and bring in a different perspective
Okay.
on the whole college conversation. We haven't talked about Charlie Kirk's video yet, The Scam Exposed.
Right.
And let's just say it brings a very different perspective to the table.
Yes. And it's important for us to acknowledge that there are strong opinions on both sides of this issue,
Right.
particularly when it comes to the value of a college education. In today's world, we're not here to endorse any particular political viewpoint,
Right.
but to present the information and let you, the listener, draw your own conclusions.
Exactly. So in Kirk's video, he has a pretty heated debate with a college student.
Okay.
And his central argument is that for many students, college is a scam.
Mm-hmm.
He points out that a large percentage of graduates end up in jobs that don't require a degree,
Right.
leaving them with a significant amount of debt but no real advantage in the job market.
Right. And he uses that same statistic from Polymatter about how many college grads are underemployed or working in jobs that don't utilize their degrees.
He even goes as far as saying that this is evidence that college, in its current form, is failing to deliver on its promises
Yeah.
for a significant portion of students.
Yes. And he suggests that many students would be better off pursuing alternative paths,
Right.
trade schools, apprenticeships, entrepreneurship,
Right.
where they can gain marketable skills without incurring massive debt.
Okay. So it's a pretty bold statement. And the student in the video doesn't just sit there and take it.
Right.
Pushes back,
Yeah.
arguing that college provides valuable skills beyond just specific job training.
Yes. He highlights the importance of critical thinking, communication skills,
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to learn and adapt all those things we were just talking about.
Right, right.
He argues that these are transferable skills
Mm-hmm.
that are valuable in any career, regardless whether it directly relates to your major.
And he also points out that college offers opportunities for social and personal growth, meeting new people, exploring different ideas, and developing a sense of independence.
It's a classic debate.
Yeah.
Is college primarily about vocational training?
Yeah.
Or is it about broader intellectual and personal development?
And Kirk counters by arguing that those same skills can be acquired through other means.
Right.
Reading books, taking online courses, gaining real-world experience.
Yeah.
He contends that the high cost of tuition and the potential for ideological indoctrination
Right.
make college a risky proposition for many students.
It's a complex issue with valid points on both sides.
For sure.
And I think it ultimately comes down to individual circumstances,
Right.
values, and goals.
Okay, so what's the takeaway here for our listener? Are we saying college is good or bad?
The takeaway is that it's not a black and white issue.
Right.
There are legitimate criticisms of the current higher education system, but there's also undeniable value in learning, in expanding your knowledge,
Right.
and in developing critical thinking skills. The key is to be informed, to do your research, and to make the best decision for your unique situation.
Don't just blindly follow the college for all mantra.
Right?
But don't write off the potential benefits of higher education either. Weigh your options, consider your goals, and maybe even explore some of those alternative paths that Cook mentions.
Absolutely. The world is full of opportunities for those who are willing to seek them out and create their own definitions of success.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From essential skills to the complexities of the labor market to the different ways people approach wealth.
Yeah.
And even this intense debate about the value of college.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for, like, a final synthesis and bringing it all together moment. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into skills and wealth and finding your own path, I'm curious, what's the one big takeaway you hope our listener walks away with?
After, sifting through all these different perspectives,
Right.
I think the most important takeaway is this. It's not about college or trade school. It's not about entrepreneurship or a 9-to-5. It's about rediscovering the value of all types of skilled work and challenging the stigmas we've attached to certain professions.
Okay.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's about empowering individuals
That's right.
to make choices that align with their own values, talents, and aspirations.
I love that. It's about expanding our definition of success, right?
Yeah.
Not limiting ourselves to a single path or like a narrow definition of what it means to make it.
Exactly. Whether you're a master electrician, a gifted artist, a savvy entrepreneur, or yes, even a college graduate who's found their calling in a field that might not traditionally be considered high status.
Right.
What matters is that you're contributing your skills, pursuing your passions, and creating a life that feels meaningful to you.
So it's not just about the money, it's about the impact, the fulfillment, the alignment with your own personal definition of success.
Precisely. And I think this is where those Alux.com videos about the different types of rich people offer a valuable perspective.
Right.
Wealth doesn't always equal happiness, and it certainly doesn't guarantee fulfillment.
Yeah.
The can't tell rich folks who prioritize quality over flashy displays of wealth.
Right.
They might be onto something.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that there are many ways to live a rich and rewarding life. And those ways don't always involve a Lamborghini or a mansion.
Right. And I think that's a great place to leave our listener.
Okay.
With a bit of a challenge, a provocation.
Okay, I like it.
Take some time to reflect on your own values, your own definition of success. What truly matters to you? And how can you align your career choices, your financial decisions, and even your everyday actions with those values? It might just lead you down a path you never expected, one that's both personally fulfilling and, yes, maybe even financially rewarding.
Love it. A final thought to ponder. Okay, everyone, that's a wrap on our deep dive into skills, wealth, and finding your own unique path to success. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yes.
What resonated most with you? What questions do you still have? Share your insights and keep those conversations going.
Until next time.